and welcome back to my channel. I am making a kofta curry today because I realized that I haven't shared a kofta curry with you guys for years now, so I need to correct that immediately. And the kofta curry that I'm making is obviously straightforward, simple, and I'm going to use some lauki to make the koftas. And you may ask, what is lauki? I shared my very first lauki recipe actually a few weeks ago, and this is what is lauki. It's bottle gourd, and it's also called dudi in India, bottle gourd here in the UK, and you can find it in Asian supermarkets. But just in case you're desperate to try this recipe and you cannot get hold of lauki, then I'll tell you what to use. So if you can't find this, then you can use this. Because I use so much of these courgettes which are grown locally. I know it's not the season right now, but still I've realized that because I've used both, the texture of these is very similar, so you can do exactly the same recipe, but instead of lauki you can use courgette. But I would recommend, if you can get hold of this, then definitely try this, because you know the taste is slightly different. You guys decide. I can't decide everything for you. Right, let's get cooking. But before that, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. So there are two parts to this recipe. One is actually the koftas, and the second part is the curry. So I'm going to kind of jump between the two. So first I'm going to prep for the koftas. So I'm just going to peel this and grate it. And I'm going to grate it from the thick grate side. So here's the grated lauki, and I'm just going to add half a teaspoon of salt, give it a mix, and the key is to kind of let it sit for 10 minutes because we want to extract some of the moisture from this, and the salt is going to help do that. So leave it aside for 10 minutes and we can move on to our curry. When it comes to Indian curries like the kofta curry or any other form of gravy that you can find in restaurants served with, I don't know, paneer tikka curry or something like that. I'm just saying it. There are many ways of making it, and I have shared a few of them over the years on my channel. So I am going to try and do a slightly different version today so that you can have a slightly new kind of curry to try this time. So for the curry, I need a good piece of ginger, 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, a couple of green chilies to make it nice, and it's not going to make it very hot because we're cooking a fair bit for 4 to 6 people. And I have got here 8 tomatoes and 2 onions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just roughly chop all of this together. And here it is, everything chopped and ready for the hob. So just going to take a nice pan, and in this going to add our onions, ginger, garlic, chilies, and the tomatoes. But that's not all. I'm going to add a few more things. So in going to go around 20 cashew nuts, half a teaspoon of salt, 200 ml of boiling water. Actually, I'm going to make it 400 ml of boiling water. That's much better. Also half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a nice lovely bay leaf. Stir it up, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of fennel seeds. It's going to add, actually I'm going to make it 2 teaspoons. Lovely flavor that's going to add. And I've also got 4 cardamom cloves. Next I am going to give it a good mix. I'm going to cover and cook this on medium heat for 20 minutes until everything has cooked, softened really nicely, and that is going to give me enough time to get my koftas done. So while this is nicely bubbling away on medium heat, I'm going to bring my attention to this bottle gourd lauki and gonna get started with the process. Now this has had a few minutes, say 10 minutes. I think it has had this so much moisture in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just squeeze this moisture out. So squeeze the moisture out, but you can keep the water for kind of the curry. But you don't have to, but you can keep the water for the curry. So take little bits in your hand, and then if we don't squeeze the liquid out, then it's obviously not going to work in the koftas because there's so much water. The same thing happens with courgettes. So in case you decide to use courgettes instead of bottle gourd, don't think that you can skip this step of salting the vegetable because that has quite a lot of moisture too. So a couple of things to add to the kofta. I've just got a little bit of fresh coriander, chop it up and add it to that. And because we had added salt to this earlier on, we're not going to add any more salt to the actual koftas. Half a teaspoon of garam masala, half a teaspoon of chili powder. I've got here carom seeds, which is ajwain, half a teaspoon. Again, the flavor will go really well. Just slightly crushing it. That will release the flavor. One of the last things to add is gram flour, which is going to help bind this together. So that's 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start with 4 and see how this is behaving before I add any more. You don't need any water for this because the lauki still has moisture in it. Just going to add 2 more tablespoons. That's it. And now I'm going to get some oil on the hob and fry these. My timer has just gone off, so that's 20 minutes. I've turned it off. I'm just going to leave it to rest for 5 minutes while I bring my attention to the kofta. So there is some sunflower oil in there. It's nice and hot, I think. And I'm just going to fry these koftas, shallow fry them in this pan. So reduce the heat to medium. You don't want it super hot. And I know this mixture is a bit sticky, as you can see, but that's okay. Look, it's not that bad. You don't want to add more gram flour because it'll become too thick. And that's the size, nice little size for the koftas. So there it goes. And I'm going to do this in 2 rounds. So I think I'm going to do 6 in this and let's see how many more I can get out. Oh, these look lovely. So just needs a couple of minutes on each side. Oh, how fantastic. They look like they're done. Can I get them out on plate and then cook the last few? So I think everyone's gonna get like a couple of koftas, which is perfect. So these are looking lovely. Now that our koftas are ready, I can get my attention back to the curry that's been sitting, waiting for me. So these koftas are looking so good. Really lovely. Look at that. So nice. And with this stuff, which is like kind of the boiled onion, tomato, spices, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blitz this to a puree first. And I'm not going to wash this pan, just going to take this out, blitz it, and then use the same pan. Saves me a bit of washing up as well. And while I'm blitzing this, I just added all the liquid of the bottle gourd moisture that was left. I've added it all to this to puree it with it. And that's it, lovely. I've still got one more batch, but yeah, that is how it will be. Now our full attention can be on the curry. Koftas are ready, puree is blitzed, and now back to the same pan, get it nice and hot. So just add 2 to 3, actually 4 tablespoons of oil of your choice, and I'm gonna add a little piece of butter as well. So I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of butter for a bit more rich flavor. And now we add our puree. I'm just going to add a splash of water to the... I'm going to cover so that it doesn't splash everywhere and cook this nicely for a good 20 minutes. I am in no rush. So my timer here for 20 minutes has just gone off. I'm actually going to turn this off because if I don't turn it off, it'll just keep like spitting. And I want to add all the spices to this while it's not spitting. I am going to add a teaspoon of garam masala, half or 1 teaspoon of chili powder. It already has salt and turmeric that we added earlier. Then we add a tablespoon of kasuri methi, dried fenugreek leaves. Just give it a little crush while you add it. And also, quite important, whether you add honey or half a teaspoon sugar, because there's a lot of tomatoes in there. And then we give it a mix. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And now I have to add some water in this, because if I'm going to add this is going to soak up liquid and this is a bit too thick, so I need to add some boiling water to make it a bit more runny. So I'll add 200 ml of boiling water. And I'm just going to add one last, because I've added so much extra water, I'm going to add another half a teaspoon of salt and a little bit more of chili, half a teaspoon. Just some coriander to finish. And if you want, you can drizzle a little bit of cream on top. And here it is, the most delicious kofta curry. Not only does this look stunning, it smells really good. And before I stop to tidy the whole kitchen up, I am going to have a little taste. You can serve this with, a lot of them go with rice, your chapatis, naans, parathas, anything you fancy really. I would also happily serve this with a really lovely buttered sourdough, toasted sourdough would be amazing as well. But yeah, if you want a proper home, my top kind of combination with this would be piping hot chapatis. That would be like soft chapatis, break it up, and there it is. That kofta is packed with flavor. That's lovely. You can really taste the carom seeds. If you don't have carom seeds, there's really not really an alternative. You can dry roast some cumin and then crush and add it to it. Not cumin powder, but roasted crushed up cumin. But if you can find some carom seeds, buy them in the shops, because it's really nice. I've said this before, in pastries and in some of the Indian curries. So that tastes lovely. The sauce, the curry, the gravy, whatever you want to call it, is delicious. It's smooth, it's creamy, but it's not super rich. All in all, great kofta curry. I hope you'll try this. It's amazing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now. Yum. Beautiful.